What's up, guys? Give me a show here. Back in the video. Today's video is with Mal. What if Mike was on the villains? So you also get, so this is the idea. So falls below 65. Thank you for your suggestion. Let me know what you meant by Duncan being in Heroes episode 3 was on the Heroes episode 3, because I'm a bit confused there, because Duncan swapped teams with Courtney in episode 3, so I'm thinking you're meaning from the beginning, like if Duncan was on the Heroes from the beginning, which I'm gonna do. Back to the theory. So, if the villains were to play it the same, now here's the thing. Courtney would still make Lindsay push, and Courtney and Gwen are arguing on the team. Big thing here, Mike is kind of on the outs. Duncan is suspicious of Mike, but he just can't put his finger on it. Alan still puts out the robot suit and villains win the challenge. Lindsay goes home like that. Again, Lightning miscounts the pieces, and because of that, he gets voted off. Now we get to some actual changes. Joe still suits Scott in this episode, and Courtney and Gwen are arguing with Courtney using Gwen as a human shield. To be honest, in this episode, nothing changes with Joe still getting eliminated. Now, because Duncan's on a different team, he never sacrificed himself to save Gwen, and like, he doesn't gain anything. Like, he did in the original, but like, him and Gwen are different teams now, so they're not traveling together, so he doesn't do that. So Courtney and Duncan don't even swap teams here. So episode 4 is the animal episode. So Sam still hides breadcrumbs in his pockets, and because of that, he gets voted off. Now, episode 5, Courtney moved madness. So Gwen goes around the bush. Cameron and Courtney go around. I feel like here, Courtney still saves Gwen. Mike switches back from Mal to Mike, and that plays the same. Cameron still follows himself as tribute, and because of that, he gets voted off, except it's an elimination, and he swaps with the villains. So episode 6, Sucker Sponge. So no opposite the egg inspection. So Zoe still wins the challenge for her team, and Mike does terrible. Duncan isn't doing that bad boy arc now because he's on the villains, and I feel like Heather still finds the idol. Wants him to vote off Scott. Duncan has figured out that Mike is actually Mal due to the whistle, but doesn't say anything. He actually votes Alondra. Alondra is the idol to get rid of Heather. 7, Sucker Sponge. So Zoe gets a free point for last round. Alondra gets a point for fighting his brother Jose. Michael gets a point. Mal gets a point for fighting his fear is the same. Like originally, gets a point. Scott fails. Cameron fails. Tierra fails. Gwen and Courtney get a point hashing it out. Duncan is fighting Courtney, and we've seen that fight before, and he fails. So 3 points. 2 points to the villains. Heroes win. Now, Courtney and Gwen want Duncan out. Zoe wants Scott out. And Sierra wants Alejandro out. So I think Duncan gets eliminated here, since he has the most amount of votes, and there's literally Courtney and Gwen. So now we're at the merge, and basically our merge cast is the same. The only difference is we have Sierra instead of Duncan. The votes. So Malik was vote by himself. Alondra was vote by himself. Courtney and Gwen, which leaves Sierra, Cameron, Zoe, and Scott both losers. So Mike still goes back to try to save Zoe, and Alejandro wins immunity. Now, I should point out Scott and Courtney aren't together because Courtney was never on the villains. But Mal rigged this elimination, so Cameron would remain eliminated in this episode. Now, in episode 9 is the Ezekiel shall find. Now, I think Mal is traveling with Zoe and Sierra. Scott gets caught by himself. Gwen and Courtney traveling together. Alondra gets caught like he does originally after to get his boot stuck. I think Mike and Zoe and Mal, Zoe, and Sierra get caught. And Courtney and Gwen win the challenge. And I think they win immunity, but Courtney doesn't calls the cave-in. So who goes home? Well, I think it's an actual vote here because there's no injury. So these three have majority, and they vote off Alejandro. Scott, Gwen, Courtney. Scott also wants to vote for Mal for Mike for last season. Courtney and Gwen vote Sierra. Alejandro also votes Sierra. And a tiebreaker between Alejandro and Sierra, I think Alejandro could beat Sierra just about any tiebreaker. So I think here, these three of Alejandro, Courtney and Gwen have no reason to stick with Alejandro, and Scott probably votes Alejandro. Now in episode 10, the episode calls Mal wins immunity. So Scott, Gwen, Courtney vote for Sierra because she's the biggest threat outside of them. However, Mal, Zoe, and Sierra vote Scott since he's the only person that's not on this three-person alliance, neither Courtney and Gwen. And in the tie between Scott and Sierra, I think Scott's going to lose the tiebreaker. Episode 11, the worst episode of the entire Tom All-Star series, is Sunday, Monday, Sunday. Courtney still makes the chart, but she's not completely screwed in this version since she was going to take out Mal first, then Sierra. I take Zoe to the end. Take out Zoe because she doesn't like her. So Courtney had actually planned to take Gwen to the end in this version, so she's not completely screwed over. So Gwen's not as annoyed with Courtney in the original. And because Courtney's doesn't have getting puked on and all that, I now think Courtney wins the challenge since we've been seeing that Courtney's very good at eating challenges. So Courtney's actually getting puked on. Gwen gets brain freeze. Sierra wins the challenge. Courtney and Gwen convince Sierra to vote for Mal since she's the biggest threat not immune. On top of the fact, Mal probably rigged the votes against Cameron, which makes a lot more sense. So these three vote Mal, these two vote Courtney. Mal is eliminated. Now in episode 12 we have they have to get the key, so it's Gwen gets the painting, Zoe gets the Yeti, Sierra gets the golden Chris, and Courtney gets the diamond. And I definitely think Courtney could pull off getting the diamond. It would take her a bit of time, but I think Courtney can do it. I think Zoe still wins the challenge, and Gwen, Chef is just guarding the painting, and Sierra never finds it. She never finds the golden Chris. So fourth place, Sierra, because I think Gwen would come back with the painting, but it would take a very long. Now, Zoe gets between Gwen and Courtney, who she wants to pick in the finale. And obviously she's picking Courtney to eliminate since she's actually friends with Gwen. On top of the fact Gwen is just a lesser challenge threat. And whilst Gwen's been in the finale before, I think Zoe would be afraid to face Courtney rather than Gwen, since she's not only a physical threat, but also somebody who's really smart as well that can be a threat to her winning. So Gwen and Courtney both in the finale. Zoe in the finale. I think Courtney Duncan support Gwen, and Mike and Zoe. Mal obviously is mind reset, and everybody gets popped out the bubbles, unlike the original where they just float away. I'm just going to say they all watch the finale. So thank you guys for watching. This is the image season would have gone. If Mal was on the film team. So I believe Mal would have came 5th. And yeah, peace and farewell.